In our last video, we looked at how things had changed in ballet over the course of a century through the lens of the piece The Dying Swan. In this video, let's take a look at how ballet has evolved in not only one of the most iconic, but also one of the most pivotal ballets in the entire rep, the Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty is a lot of things, many of them contradictory. On one hand, it embodies the history, hierarchy, and tradition associated with ballet as a whole. On the other, thanks to Tchaikovsky's score, this ballet was a catalyst for choreography to evolve from even metered symmetry to symphonic revelation. Before Sleeping Beauty, ballet music was actually made to order. That is, the choreographers would request the exact length and timing that they needed, and the composers would deliver accordingly. Whereas for Sleeping Beauty, Tchaikovsky created the music to express the story of the fairy tale without any preconceived choreographic constraints, making it so the score was much richer than earlier ballet music had been, which forced the choreography to become more complex, opening the door for future great works. But not everyone was a fan of these developments, and even some of the dancers complained that the music was undanceable. But a few years after its premiere, the public fell in love, and Sleeping Beauty became one of ballet's biggest success stories. Starting with Irina Kolpakova. Kolpakova was born in 1933, and she was a prima ballerina of the Mariinsky Theater, although in her time it was called the Kirov, named after a Soviet-era government official. Here she is in the Princess Aurora Act 3 wedding variation. We can see her charm and innocence in the playful way she uses her head and the expressive way she uses her arms. She's very character forward. The technical elements play a supporting role to the storytelling and not the other way around. These expressive acting abilities are part of what makes her such a great coach today. At the time that this video is being made, she's in her 90s and still working with some of ballet's biggest names as a coach at American Ballet Theater. Now let's jump ahead about 25 years to the ballerina also of the Mariinsky Theater and the Vaganova School, Larissa Lezhnina. Right away, we'll notice that the musculature of the legs is more developed, and the movements, while still understated as per the choreography, are more precise with more obvious strength behind them. She's still very much in character, but you will notice that the head and the arms are more controlled and slightly less playful. Lezhnina came of age at about the same time as the great ballerina Sylvie Guillem, and in those days we really thought that we had reached the absolute pinnacle of what was possible for a dancer's technical abilities. It really wasn't until the next generation, the first crop of dancers who were born with this level of technical excellence as their birthright, that we really saw how truly Olympian ballet dancers could and would become. Here we have May Nagahisa, also in the Mariinsky Theater, in the late 2010s, probably about 2018, 2019 in this video. Right away, you'll notice the legs are much higher, the body's more sinewy, and a phenomenal level of strength that had at this point become the standard simmers beneath this contained, subtle choreography. And you see how there's an extremity that Nagahisa goes to that Lezhnina doesn't. But now, let's look at Nagahisa next to Kolpakova, and you see the exactitude, height, and raw strength are front and center, whereas some of the whimsy and the playfulness of the head and the arms has been lost. But something that's interesting to note is that with each new generation, the older dancers will say, oh, the artistry, the soul of the art form is being left in the past. These newer dancers are only technicians. But if you read the history books and you read the writings of the older dancers, the ballet masters, you will see that this is true of every generation. You can find ballet masters in the 1700s complaining that artistry and elegance are lost on young dancers. What we're really seeing is that technique is a currency, a tool, a form of power. If the dancer wielding it is able to direct it well, then their ability to take the audience on a journey becomes that much greater. Do you have a favorite dancer or a time period that you'd like to see more of, or maybe a specific ballet? Let me know in the comments. If you like this, make sure you subscribe. We have a ton of great dance content in the pipeline. Thanks for watching. I'm Cynthia Dragoni, The Dance Lens.